Hey everybody, today we are talking about Red Velvet Cupcake Murder by Joanne Fluke. In this video, I'm going to be making red velvet cupcakes while talking about the book with you. These cupcakes are a little bit different than your normal red velvet cupcakes as they have a surprise in the middle, which is going to be what we make first, which is just some chocolate with apricot. And you freeze it into a little mound and then you place it in the center of your cupcakes so that there's this like little surprise fruity taste in the middle. So hopefully it all works out. We'll find out. But yeah, so I'm gonna start with that while I tell you about the beginning of our book. So our story starts out with the like preparing for the grand opening for this new hotel that has like 3 floors and like a penthouse on the roof, and on the sides there's also like apartments that are available to be bought as well. And the person who's like in charge of doing that is a guy named Roger, and it just so happens that Dr. Bev, who we loved from the last book, is actually involved with Roger and like dating him. And so because of that, she's gonna be around everybody else still. And if you were with me in the last book, this is number 16 of these books. And so in the 15th book, Dr. Bev was trying to marry Norman, and that didn't work out. So now she's already moved on with this rich guy making a hotel named Roger. So there's going to be this like event to celebrate and to tour the facility, and the penthouse still has a few things. They're bringing in this huge dome to go around it because there's like all this vegetation and stuff up there and like an outdoor pool, and it needs to be protected. So there's a dome that still needs to come in. So there's like some barriers up there to prevent people from getting too close to the construction and the side of the roof. That's up there on the top, but they can still go up and check it out, the penthouse, if they would like to. And so everybody's there. Hannah's there. She has her red velvet cupcakes there so that everyone can have those as refreshments. And it's kind of like a ball or a dance or something, because there's also dancing and, you know, refreshments, and then touring this new hotel, which you can also like live at if you want to get one of the apartments and everything. And of course Andrea's there trying to sell them, and she's trying to convince Hannah to move out of her place to come here, but Hannah really likes her place and she's like, there's no way I could afford this anyway, so no thanks. So that is what is going on when Barbara, who is the secretary of the police station, she's also there, and she's really excited and she wants to go up top and check out the penthouse. So she goes up there, and pretty much everyone else is downstairs. But all of a sudden, Hannah hears like a screaming and like a thud, and Barbara has fallen off the roof. And I mean, it's like 3 stories. I mean, technically 4 if you're like on the roof, and I would think that that would be a pretty serious, like, I thought for sure that she was gonna be our murder victim, that she'd be dead, but she's actually breathing. She like somehow survived this fall. There was some shrubbery and stuff that she like kind of fell into, so it kind of like softened the blow a little bit. And I looked it up. You actually can survive that far of a fall, but usually you'll have like critical injuries that you'll have to live with for the rest of your life, like is typically what will happen if you fall from that far. So I assumed she was going to be gone. Nope, she goes to the hospital to stay to recover. She has a bit of a brain injury because of it, which makes sense. So she's kind of suffering with some memory loss, kind of forgetting people's names. Things are slowly starting to come back to her, but she insists that she did not just fall, but that she was like, that someone was gonna kill her. And that's why she like jumped off or fell. Though we weren't really quite sure at the beginning. Did you fall or were you pushed or whatever? But as far as Barbara remembers, she feels like someone was trying to hurt her. And so I thought that maybe this was going to be the first book that we get where there's actually no murder and it's just attempted murder and that nobody actually dies. I thought that would have been an interesting thing because that's never happened. But no, unfortunately, someone else does end up dying in this book. As they continue to try to investigate and figure out what happened exactly to Barbara, it seems like Hannah's one of the only people that she trusts to talk to about this. And so she's kind of getting a few pieces from Barbara from what she remembers. And in the meantime, a couple days have passed and they're finally ready to deliver the big dome to put on top of the penthouse. And everyone is like celebrating and watching. It's like the whole town wants to watch this huge thing come in from a crane and come down perfectly on this rooftop. Like they've never seen anything like it. They really want to see that. And so while this is happening, Dr. Bev, she ends up ordering a bunch of bars because she wants there to be refreshments for people to snack on that are actually watching the dome from the hotel. And she also orders another batch of these cupcakes as well. And Dr. Bev actually has Roger go pick up the bars, but he forgets to get the cupcakes. So Bev has to go and pick them up instead. She goes, she picks them up at this house that Andrea and her daughter are with. Michelle, I think, is there too, and Hannah. They're all watching it from a house that's nearby instead of being actually there. So Bev's going there to pick up the cupcakes. She shares a few nasty words with them about how she's, you know, so beautiful and that she can have whatever man she wants and all this stuff is going on. And she gets the cupcakes and then she leaves. Anyways, I'm trying to get this to cool down a little bit because we have to put them in little mounds on this like wax paper, and then we have to have them to be cool enough to put in the batter for later. So I'm just kind of waiting for it to not be too hot because then it's not really gonna like shape very well. So that's why I am just talking to you right now. But anyways, continuing on. So the next thing that happens is it's evening and Hannah's going, I can't remember where she's going, back to the hotel, back to the inn. She's going somewhere. And she passes this area where there's like some trees and things. And it's next to like a small pond or lake or something. I think it's like a big pond, but it's like big enough that it almost is like a lake. But it's kind of covered by these trees, and Hannah notices that the trees and stuff, they look like all messed up and matted down, and the people who own that property usually keep it really nice. So she finds that suspicious. So she pulls over and she walks through past the trees and she notices the back of like a car sticking out of the like mini lake. And she's like, oh crap, somebody's probably in there drowning or dead right now. So she dives down and finds out that she had a hunch she knew who it was because it's like this red, I can't remember the name of the car, but I'll put it here. And Bev has been driving it around. So she instantly thinks that it's Dr. Bev. So she gets low enough under there and turns out, yes, it's Dr. Bev. Now, the thing that annoys me about it being, I mean, not the fact that she found the body, because we know she always does, except for like that one time when her mom did, but she typically is the one that finds the body. But what annoys me about this is that it was Dr. Bev. I mentioned this in another video before as well, that I find it kind of just too convenient that the people that we know are gonna be really annoying to Hannah are just gonna end up dead so she doesn't have to deal with them anymore. I think it would have been better to have Dr. Bev alive, because then she has to deal with, like, you know, how's she gonna be the better person anytime that she runs into Dr. Bev? How's she gonna handle being around this woman that she just detests? But no, let's just kill her off and then problem solved. And it's the same thing that happened a few books back when her old professor, who she got involved with in college, who she deeply regretted getting involved with, he comes back into town and he's very annoying, and you can tell that he's gonna try to like get involved in her life again, and you're like, oh no, how is she gonna deal with this properly? And then they just kill him off so she doesn't have to deal with it. And it's just, I just thought, you know, it just seems so obvious that she was gonna be the one to go, but I was hoping she wouldn't be, because it's just, again, it's so obvious, and it's just, it just doesn't provide any challenge to Hannah to have to deal with anything if her problems just die, you know? So I'm not super appreciative of the fact that that's who ends up dying. But because she is the one that finds her, and it just looks very suspicious. After they pull up her body and they try to find the cause, she did not die by drowning. She actually was dead before she pulled off into the water. She actually was poisoned. And so the only thing that she'd had in her system was like a coffee that she drank that day. And that wasn't from Hannah's place, but she had the cupcake that was from Hannah. And so Hannah becomes murder suspect number 1. So they have to pull her in and like talk to her and get her statement and let her know like, you're on the list, so you don't leave town, like because it's possible that if this poison was in your cupcakes. And so she has to try to find evidence otherwise, like, no, this wasn't from my cupcakes, and like figuring out that it must have been in the coffee. And they have to try to figure out, she has to try to figure out how to get her name cleared by seeing what could have gotten in this coffee, who gave her the coffee, who delivered it, because she was like, I think she got it from the inn, maybe. So she had to like see which boy, like which person brought it to her, and then like where she put it. Like, did he give it to her directly? And turns out there was a moment where he brought the coffee to her room, and then she said, oh, actually, I'm just about to leave, so just go put it in my car underneath the seat or behind the seat. And so he does that. He says he didn't see anybody around at the time when he did it, but technically anyone could have just gone up to her car and put it in there. So it's really gonna be like kind of hard to figure out who put it in there. So there's also the whole idea of Barbara, and Barbara saying that she was like attempted to be killed or whatever, and that she was afraid that someone was going to try to come and finish her off in her hospital bed. So they had to continually to make sure that nobody's trying to attack her in the middle of the night. And so she wants Moisha to come stay with her in the middle of the night to make her feel better, which is, you know, Hannah's cat. And so Hannah's cat comes and stays overnight, and it makes her feel a lot better. And part of them are thinking like maybe it's just her brain injury that's making her see things, because she's saying there's like monsters coming in her room. But it turns out like everything she's seeing is like, she actually is seeing things and that are actually there. And Hannah finally witnesses this one of these nights when she's with Moisha and finds out that, yeah, this is happening and Barbara's not going crazy or anything. Here's these. I'm gonna go refrigerate them while we start the rest of the stuff. Hopefully these will harden and be able to pull off of this easily so we can put it inside of our cupcakes. I don't know, we'll find out. This is the part I'm the most nervous about. I feel like the cupcakes themselves shouldn't be that hard. We're gonna start the baking part of the video now. Basically, we just have to make the batter, and then we'll add those little apricot things in the middle, and then we'll cook it, and then we will taste it and see if it worked. There's only 2 tablespoons of the apricot jam in there. I'm wondering how much we're gonna actually be able to taste it, because there's so much more chocolate in there than there is this, that I wonder if it's gonna be super present or not. I almost am tempted to put more, but again, since I haven't made this before, I don't wanna ruin it, because maybe it is gonna be easy to taste and we don't wanna overdo it. So anyways, let's mix some of our stuff together. I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my oven for 350. Okay, so after you mix together the butter and the sugar and the vegetable oil, you're gonna add a teaspoon of the baking soda, baking powder, salt, and the cocoa powder, and then you're gonna thoroughly mix those together. And then after that, you are going to add in the red food color gel to make it look a little bit more like that red velvet color that we are expecting and looking for. Then you are going to add the eggs one at a time, beat it together. Then you're gonna add some of your flour. You're gonna do it in sections. You're gonna add a little bit of your flour and then some of your buttermilk, and then you'll put more of your flour and then more of your buttermilk and then more of your flour. And then finally, a little bit of red wine vinegar, which I found an interesting addition to this recipe. And now we are going to fill up our cupcakes halfway, because then we need to add those little chocolate apricot surprises in there, and then put more of our batter on top, and then we can finally cook it. Okay, and with that, they are finally in the oven cooking. We will be back in 21 minutes to see how they taste, how they turned out. As far as the end of the book goes, Hannah is cleared from being a suspect. They did find who actually did it, and I wasn't really trying to figure out who did it this time, but it made sense. And it makes sense because it seems like the killer is always someone who is kind of a newer character to the books, who's not around in the town all of the time. So it's usually kind of easy to at least get your suspects, because you know it's most likely one of the characters that is not in any of the other books. So yeah, it kind of makes it a little obvious to figure it out, unless there's like 4 or 5 new characters introduced. Then there's a little bit of a challenge to figure out who has the best motive. But yeah, we still have Hannah indecisive with Mike and Norman. Norman and Hannah are starting to get closer again now that Dr. Bev's out of the picture permanently. Maybe there's a chance for them, I don't know. Mike brings up, having her marry him again, and she still does not know her heart well enough. I think she does. I think she just likes having options. Honestly, I think that's what it is at this point. She knows who the better option is, but she just is being a little selfish, and she just needs to choose. And I'm pretty sure in like 2 books from now, she does choose. So we're getting really close to finding out what her decision is after like 12 books. But yes, anyways, we will be back for a taste test momentarily. All right, they are all done and they have cooled. So I'm gonna take one of these out. Probably could have done 1 less minute because the back ones are a little brown. That's all right. I just realized a little too late that these are supposed to have like cream cheese frosting on top of them, but I am not gonna do that. I just don't have the motivation to do that right now. I'm just gonna have it like this, because also cream cheese frosting is a little strong for me. A lot of times I have to take half of it off anyway because it's just like too rich for me. So sometimes I prefer it to be very lightly frosted or not frosted at all. So we're just gonna give it a try like this, and then just know that they are obviously prettier if you make the cream cheese frosting, but we're just gonna skip that for our purposes today. Okay, so not super pretty now, but that's okay. I can tell that the little chocolate apricot thing that we made is right here. So I'm gonna taste it without it, and then I will taste it with. Yeah, that's just your basic cupcake right there. Like nothing super special. It just tastes like a cupcake. I mean, obviously it would be better with the frosting versus just like this, but that's my own fault. Okay, let's break this down a little bit. Yes, okay. Okay. So right off the bat, super chocolatey from, the chocolate chips. It took a second, but I finally started tasting that apricot jam in there. It was like not there at all at first. and then it started to subtly come in, and then it was a little stronger at the very last second. Let's try it again. Yeah, less so that time. I think that makes it better to have that in there so that it's not as dry, since I didn't use the frosting. With the frosting, it would probably be like the perfect combination, depending on how much you like of frosting on there. There is that tangy aftertaste that you get from the apricot, like it is there. But again, in this particular one that I tried, it was like subtle. And if you didn't know that it was apricot, you probably wouldn't really be able to tell, unless you put a little bit bigger of a apricot blob and chocolate blob in the middle. Most of mine, I think I could have made a little bit bigger, and then I would have been able to taste it a little bit more instead of just like on the bottom where it ended up going. So the ones that I made them bigger, you're probably going to be able to tell that the apricot's in there more. So if you like that taste, put more of the chocolate surprise in there. If you don't care for the apricot so much, then, I mean, obviously you could just omit it completely, or you could just do it a smaller thing, and then you won't be able to taste it that much. I just want to eat one of these by itself to see how much apricot I can tell is in there. Yeah, again, it like takes till the very last moment for it to actually come through. But now I do wish that I would have put like another half tablespoon of the jam in there, because I mean, that if that's supposed to be a secret ingredient, then it needs to be a little more present for people to taste a little easier. So I have extra batter. I'm gonna make more because I have so many more of these, and I tried to make them a little bit bigger this time so that they can have a little more. Because yeah, I just think if you're trying to have like this extra star, you should have it be a little bit more present. So yeah, that's what I would do. Perhaps I will later on make a little bit of the frosting to try it that way, but for now, as it is, I think it's fine. If you like cupcakes, I think this is a fairly good recipe. And if you want to make it a little more fancy, adding that little chocolate apricot surprise in the middle, I think that worked really well too. So yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next Hannah Swenson murder mystery. Bye.